Hello everybody. In this video tutorial we'll be making this bolt right here, and then now this is a remake of an old tutorial uh, from several years ago. um, the old tutorial that I recorded, the audio sound was just terrible in it. I'm sorry that this remake of this tutorial is long overdue, and I go into a little bit more detail on the model. Um, so let's go ahead and hide this and let's get started. And by the way, this is not an intermediate. Yeah, this is an intermediate tutorial. It's not exactly for beginners, so I will explain some as I go along, but for the most part I'm just gonna go through it fairly quick and give you some description as I go along. Okay, first thing we're going to do is go to the Lines tab, and we're going to select our helix, and I'm going to hold the shift key, snap to the center there. I'm going to drag our helix out. Let's see, let's go to the orthographic view. We're going to drag it out probably to about there, and then I'm going to tap my space bar and I'm going to tap it twice, and what that does is locks our helix in one direction, and we'll go up about this far, and then I'm going to click, and let's go back to the orthographic view. And then over here in the properties panel, we're going to give this about let's see, 10 slices, and then we're going to validate it. And now I'm going to hold my control key, and I'm going to drag up, and that's going to make an extrusion from this curve, and we'll drag it up close as we can from one edge to the next. Let's go ahead and hide our curve. Then I'm going to click one of these edges that are not selected. I'm going to loop it, and then I'm going up here and to the selection menu, and we're going to go convert selection to points, and then we'll go to the vertex modeling tab and use the average weld, and we'll just crank that up. And if it looks like this when it starts to weld, click down one time and then validate. Okay, now we need to make sure that all of our vertices welded, so we're just going to select a edge there and then loop select. And as you can see, when you try to select a complete loop, and if your selection stops, then it's all the vertices are not welded, so we're going to run the average weld again, and we'll do just like last time. We'll just crank it up till we start to get something like that, and then we'll back it down one click and validate, and we'll select an edge again and loop select. We still didn't complete it. I don't know why it's not working like it should. Let's see how we are now. There we go. Alright, we're still not a complete loop yet, so let's go back to our average weld again. Just crank it up again till we get some distortion. Crank it back down once and validate. Select an edge, loop select. Okay, we're all welded up now. As you can see, the selection went all the way down to the bottom there. Okay, let's turn off these grids so we can see everywhere. Okay, so we're going to go to point selection mode, and what we're going to do is take this point and weld those together. So I'm going to tap the W key, and I'm going to weld this one to this one. Then we'll go to the bottom and do the same thing. Tap W key for target weld, and then there and there. Now let's go back to edge selection. Select this edge, loop, make sure it went all the way down, then we'll deselect the very last edge here and the very last edge here. And then we're going to make sure you're under the vertex modeling tab, and then we'll scroll down here to the third icon and extract around, and we'll just drag up, creating a couple of new edges around our selection there. And as you can see, we have new edges all the way around here. And then we're going to use the scale manipulator tool, and we'll go right here. As you can see, we have 3 boxes here. I'm going to grab this bottom box, and that's going to allow us to scale these selected edges out along their normal direction. We don't need to go that far. It's very touchy, so that'll work. So we'll go back to our universal manipulator. You can also use the hotkey U to go back to the universal manipulator, and see there we have our threads. And in the edge selection mode, we're going to grab this top edge here and loop it, and we need to flatten that out in the Y direction. We could use our scale tool and just drag down till it's almost flat, but the more accurate way to do that is over here in our properties panel, and we want to see the size in the Y direction, so I'm just going to highlight that, type in 0 and hit enter, and that flattens our top there. And we're going to do the same for the bottom, but before we do that, we're going to go to face selection. Yep, that looks good. Sometimes when I do that, the face gets a little warped there, but it didn't this time. So anyway, let's flatten out this bottom here, and let's check that. That looks good. Another thing I want to do now is I'm going to go to point selection. We'll just kind of grab this point here and just kind of pull it back a little bit. Make our transition here a little more smooth. And I think that'll work. And we're going to do the same thing here on top. Pull this back a little bit. Pull this one back just a little bit. And that's good enough. Let's go ahead and build the bottom of this. Go ahead and go to edge selection, loop it, just pull it down a little bit. Then I'm going to hold my control key and I'm going to pull it down to make an extrusion, scale it in just a bit, and then we'll go to the bottom here and holding the control key we'll do another extrusion in, and then another extrusion in, and then with the edge still selected we're going to just kind of pull this up a little bit to make kind of an indentation there on the bottom, and scale in with an extrusion. And then I'm going to go up here to my selection menu and I'm going to convert that selection to points, and then we're going to average weld that and just drag that average weld up until all your points snap right to the center. And what we've got here are a bunch of triangles, so we're going to fix that right quick, convert those to quads. So I'm going to go to edge selection. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to select every other edge. Just go all the way around. And then backspace and to dissolve those edges, and we'll just click here on stray only. And what that did is turn all those triangles into quads. Now let's go back to the top of the bolt here, and let's grab this top edge and loop select, and we're going to hold the control key and scale out to make an extrusion, and that's probably far enough, and we'll extrude up and up more to give that some more thickness, and then we'll hold our control key again and we'll scale in and then do it again, and we'll convert that selection to points, and we'll have to average weld it. Just drag up again till we've got all those points merged to the center there. And we've got pardon me, more triangles here in the middle, so let's fix those, and we'll do it just like we did on the bottom. So select every other edge, and then we'll dissolve those edges. Backspace, stray only, and now we have all quads on top, and you can see that bolts do not have a the tops are not shaped like that. They're more of a octagon or hexagon shaped top. So what we need to do, we're going to tap the 2 key on our numbers pad, go to the front view, and then we're going to tap our 5 key to go to the top view, and we're going to tap our P key to go to the perspective view, and then we'll go to our lines tab, and what we're going to do is make an 8-sided reference curve here to shape the top of our the head of the bolt. So we're going to go here, circle, and we're going to select the third icon down here, the one that has 2 points on it. Click it, and then I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to snap it to that point, and then I'll hold shift key again and snap it to this point. And then we're going to go over here into the properties panel, and we're going to make that 8 points, then hit enter and validate, and what you can see here. Let's go back to perspective for a second. We've created a curve here with 8 points, which gives us a reference for the top of our bolt. Let's put that back. Make sure it's laying flat on top of your bolt. If it's not, you can use the snap line tool to do so. And then we're going to go back to top view and the orthographic view. We're going to select our bolt, and then we'll go to point selection, and then you can either go to wireframe and do this, or you can use the activate transparency. And what we're going to do here is just select these outside points, and we'll just drag them in until they're even with this edge here on our curve. And what that's going to do is create an 8-sided bolt head. So I'm just going to work my way around here. Also, you'll notice right along here, you need to kind of try to watch that. If you get it out of alignment, just try to keep that edge as you drag it right along this edge here. Now I could actually turn on some snapping tools and make this more accurate, but for speed purposes we're just going to go ahead and do it by hand. Of course, if this had to be a detailed model rather than a just a tutorial, then I would probably do that, but for the sake of time we're not going to do it. Also, if you needed more threads on your bolt, you could just actually when we first created the helix and then added the slices to the helix, you could increase that to get more threads. Okay, let's go ahead and hide that curve, and there you are. Let's see, we could also kind of give these two edges right here a bevel, and we'll do that using the edge tool here, and we'll use fillet. Just drag down a bit there to kind of round off those edges just a little bit. But that's it. There you got you a bolt there. Then I can see I kind of messed up. I grabbed too many points when we were doing the top of the bolt there, as you can see right here. So you may want to watch and make sure that you don't do that when you're shaping the head of the bolt. You grab through to too many points and pull those in. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and plan to release possibly another one in the next few days. But anyway, we'll see you later.